All right, welcome back, fellow coders, to this next lesson. This is an early one. I'm up early in the morning and recording this, so hopefully you have the benefit of my full energy right now. So in this one, I want to take this endpoint that we created, and I want to add real data to it, right? So here's what I've done in the background. I've queried the actual API that would be used to get the real information from the real people who are, opting in for this thing. So I've done a query. I've gotten a response back. I've taken that response and what it looks like, the structure, because again, that's what we care about, is the structure of these people who are matching from the course report API. They match with us, my coding school, and that course report API returns a structure of the data, and I want to mimic that structure here in the code that we're working with. So I put that into ChatGPT and said, here's a structure. Can you just create some code that will mimic this data for me? And ChatGPT, with a few back and forth, it didn't really nail it the first time. I had to keep tweaking things. It returned this as a piece of code, right? So it had created a mock controller, which is that what I called mine? I'm calling mock API controller. So here's their get mapping to, they just return the matches endpoint. Again, we could call this whatever we like. Ours is mock API. But yeah, matches could work too. And here's what it returns. It returns actually a map of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweak this, because what I prefer to do is a response entity. So then instead of returning a question mark here, this question mark being the type, now we know the type. The type is a map of string and object, right? And while the object is actually a match type, so it doesn't actually have to be an object. It can be of type match. So let me grab this code here, which I believe can just be a record. Again, ChatGPT, for all its goodness, when it comes to coding, I just find it's a little subpar. Anyway, that's just me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as inspiration to create our own code. So I'm going to, instead of calling it a match, I guess match is okay, but instead of it being a class, I'm going to try it just to be a record, because it doesn't have to be a class. Records are much easier to work with, much less noisy in terms of the actual words you have to write down. And as you can see, when you say new, I clicked here, right-clicked, and said new. Let me do that again. I right-clicked on the base package. So Coders Campus Course Report API Integration is the base package. Within this package, if we close this down, within this package is the web package, right? And within web is the mock API controller. I'm going to create another one called, I don't know, DTOs or something. So I'm saying new class, new, not class, new record. Come on, package. There we go. New package. We'll call this like DTO, which is another word for a short form for data transfer object, which is really just going to be this thing. It's going to be the details that the endpoint, the course report API endpoint gives back to us. So I'm going to right click on the DTO, right click there, new Java class. I'm going to say record, and I'm going to call it the match DTO. And here's the syntax for a record. So instead of saying class, like this one does, this one says class, match. This one says record, and then match. And then I added DTO, because that's sort of best practice when you're working with DTOs. And then this is sort of what we're going to include inside of the record. So inside of these square brackets, or round brackets, you can paste in the stuff here. However, it does not need visibility modifiers. So private, public, protected, those are the visibility modifiers. Records do not want those, so we can take those out. Like so. And, oops, Boolean. And then this syntax, so this is called underscore case. Oh, and these are not, sorry, also, this shouldn't be a semicolon, it should be a comma with records. That's why all that was red. And then the last one, is the last one no, the last one's just no comma. So this is underscore case, or snake case? I forget I think it's underscore case. Anyway, the this is not good format for Java coding. So Java doesn't use underscores. It uses something called camel case, which is lowercase first, and then each following word is going to have uppercase. So every next word in it should be an uppercase letter. Okay, same here, uppercase. However, when you do that, you might break the API, the data that's coming back from the API probably does have underscores, right? So we need to then tell it, well, for those ones, when we're trying to match the data from the API coming back to us, we want to, it's coming back as JSON, most likely. We can use something called JSON property, an annotation, and we can tell it what it's going to come back as. It's going to come back as full name with an underscore. So we're just kind of mapping it. So this is saying, hey, this is how it's coming in from the API, from course report, but this is what we want to call it. We want to call it on our side full name with a capital N. Okay, just because that's a better, it fits the Java conventions better. Phone number with an underscore. What was the other one? Created at. JSON property, created at, right? Now, you can call these whatever you like, right? We could call this created date. As long as this matches what's coming in, that's all it cares about. And then it'll just put it into whatever variable you have here. The joke I have in my bootcamp is that I always say, hey, you can name this whatever you like. And since you can name it whatever you like, you can name it like dog poop. So I don't know why, way back when I was recording all the videos for the bootcamp, I decided to talk about dog poop a lot. But there you go. You can call it dog poop if you wanted to, as I rub some of the sleep out of my eyes. So, but we're gonna call it created at, because that's what I don't have a problem with the word created, or with the created at name. So there we go. That's sort of what a match will look like from the API coming in. Fantastic. So now inside of our mock controller, let's go back here to the mock controller. Now that we've created that match, we can return the response entities. This is what our fake mock endpoint is going to return back. The suggestion from ChatGPT is this, which I'm okay with, sort of. But yeah, I'm okay with that. So let me, instead of saying return this response entity, I'm going to return this stuff. Now it's not going to be happy because, well, first we have to import a bunch of stuff. But actually it might be happy. Can it resolve to a map? What do you mean? There we go. I was just saying, what do you mean it can't? You should be able to import map because it's just from Java util. And then a list. And then these guys, yeah, match. It should match DTO, right? That's what we called them. So that's where it won't be happy. And then we can import match DTO. There we go. Now, oh yeah, here's where it won't be happy because we're returning a map of all these things. And this, it's expecting a response entity with some wildcard. So this should really be returning a response entity with a .body. And I wrap the map of all of this stuff, right, into the body of the response. So I close the round bracket here. And now the body's not happy because body has private access in blah, 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 blah. Okay, I've done something wrong. So let's do this. Let's pull all this out. The map of... Oh, I see there's I messed up the syntax. That's... The round bracket should have gone here. There you go. Okay, I put the oh no, it's still not happy. Has private access. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of the response entity. Let's simplify things. Right, I can't cast it because it's confused up here, right? It's expecting a response entity. So if we said, hey, this returns a map of string object, right? That's what the code that gave us. That's the code that ChatGPT gave us. So if we go from here, hey, it's compiling, great. But that's not really what I want. Ideally, now I guess it could work like this. We could do this. However, I like having a response entity to use that comes from Spring, and it gives a nice wrapper around all of our stuff. We can have more control over the codes that are responded that are sent back. So anyway, let's have a look at this. Let's run this code and see how it functions, and then I'll show you with the response entity wrapper a slightly different way to do it if we have time. It's been 10 minutes, and I feel like maybe I shouldn't die on this hill. So let's go over here to our mock API endpoint. I just restarted the server. I should really say things when I'm doing them in the background. I restarted the server, which I probably should have clicked this button to rerun, because anytime you make changes in Java, you want to rerun the server to pick up the changes that you've made. Now we'll go here and rerun the mock API get endpoint, and as you can see here, it now returns all of the stuff that we have on the page. So cool. That works. And if I were to tweak this slightly, I prefer to use response entity. Now it'll look the same. It just gives us more control. So let's right click on here. I'm gonna extract this. Is there a way to refactor and turn it into, why is that down here? Introduce a variable. So what I've done here is I've taken what was in the return statement and I've just moved it up here and assigned it to a variable called matches, and then I'm returning matches. Now, why is it not happy with that? Local variable matches is redundant. Yeah, because we're just returning it here, not doing anything with it. Well, what I want to do, the reason why I wanted to do that was so I could do this, response entity dot OK with the body of matches. So it's not happy now because the return type that we specified above, which is here, says map of string and object, right? So this is mismatching types. So we want to be returning a response entity of a map of string and object, right? So boom, now the code is compiling. So somehow I'd messed up a bracket somewhere, an open parenthesis, or who knows, right? So I messed up the syntax. That was my fault. But doing it this way makes me able to keep this syntax here a lot simpler to make sure I'm not messing anything up with brackets and stuff. So cool. The only tweak I would do here, although this works, object is more generic than it needs to be. This is a map of string and not object, but it's a map of string, so matches and meta data, and then the object is actually a list of matches. Right? So this object is actually a list of match DTOs. Right? So that, as you can see, is is not compiling. What's famous last words? Response entity provided map of string. Why does it say that? What am I missing? Oh, I see. Because this is not a. This is, I see. Okay, my bad. So yes, this syntax is perfect for this, but then over here, this is a string, and this is not a list of match DTOs. This is another map of stuff. So yeah, now I understand why they did. Now I understand why they did string and object, because it really is object, because these don't match these here. So it is a string. The string is correct, but the value is not consistent between the two. So that's why they have to do object, because object is more generic. Okay, fair enough. So let's save that and rerun. Stop and rerun. I don't need to see that in the future. Rerun our code, and then, as you'll see, when we come over here and rerun it again, it probably won't look any different, right? Oh, it looks slightly different. Interesting. What changed there? Interesting. So I wasn't expecting there to be any changes. Why was there a slight change? I want to go back and check that out, but I think that'll probably be a waste of time. It might have been in the way the brackets were set up. You know what I should do? I should take this response and sort of off camera, because again, there's sensitive data. I want to compare this mock response with the actual response, or an actual response that we receive, just to see, do these look exactly the same? So that's what I'll do off camera in the next lesson. Either I'm going to fix a bug if we have a bug, if they don't match up, or I will let you know that they match up and we'll go on to the next step.